I swallowed the red pill back in 2008 and began reporting the news in front of a camera in 2019. In that time, we've seen a complete upheaval in world politics. The battle lines have changed between the illusion of left versus right to the reality, globalism versus nationalism. Despite all the information, the truth and the lies, there are two very distinct pathways emerging. Should we follow Labor and Liberal to a dystopic one-world government, or do we fight for our nationalism, unlock our hidden resources wealth and build a new Australia? With the world teetering on a knife's edge, should we solidify our relationship with the USA and become the 51st state? This is my mission statement here on Australian National Review, and I welcome you to black pill me as hard as you can as we determine our future together. This is the 51st state.
The 51st State by Jason Olbourne.
And welcome back to the 51st State, the only show coming out of Australia that wants to challenge the narrative of every turn. Well, I'd like to introduce you to our guest for this hour. Lionel Nation is an intellectual known for his irreverent political and social humour. Trial lawyer, nationally syndicated American radio and television personality, media, political and legal analyst, stand-up comedian, bluegrass musician, lecturer, and the man who inspired me to put my face in front of a camera and report the facts that nobody else was. Lionel Nation, welcome to the 51st State.
And don't forget lapidarian. By the way, it inspired you to do this?
Can you believe it? That it actually has that effect on people on the other side of the planet?
Well, let me tell you something. That is the greatest thing anybody ever told me, because you can be better at this than any of the, quote, professional types who completely lose any kind of humanity along the way. Tell people the truth. That's terrific. You made my night, sir.
Well, thank you. And Lionel, this has been a long time coming for me, because when I started out, I was simply reporting COVID statistics out of Australia that weren't being reported in real time. As you can probably remember, during that lockdown period, every day we were bombarded with information that just wasn't correct. So I literally sat in my bedroom at the time, put the camera on and read statistics out. And it was extraordinary. I got better at it and realised that there was an approach to this. And we did this for a very long time. And of course, where I'm from in New South Wales, Australia, they kept very detailed statistics that showed that the narrative was certainly not what the statistics showed us.
Oh, listen, thank you for doing, you know, it's funny that you do this. You know where my red pill moment, my wife and I were here in New York on that September the 11th. And I never waited. I thought that maybe JFK, even as a kid, I realized they whacked him and that story was nonsense. But I wasn't really red-pilled until there, because I was here in the city, and what I saw on TV, I'm thinking, that's not happening. That's not happening. So good for you. And everything that we said about COVID was true. Because they questioned your ability. It was, look, I don't know about you. Let me just say this right off the bat. I don't know anybody who doesn't believe in vaccines. Do you really not believe in the immunization, pastor? Of course. Yes. I'm not saying vaccines don't work. That's like saying syringes don't work. But what you put in the syringe, that's another story. And if you don't test the vaccine, that's another story. But see how they extrapolated that? They made, I guess you don't believe in science. I believe in science. We knew exactly why that rat bastard Fauci isn't behind bars, cracking rocks upstate. I will never know. That was biomedical tyranny. That was biomedical martial law. It was horrible. And by the way, one more thing. Notice how I take over your show. I don't mean to do it, but you got to ask yourself this question. When Gardasil came out years ago, it was Rick Perry. He was the governor of Texas. They wanted to give little girls Gardasil for HPV. And I thought to myself, what are you doing? A little baby? Human papilloma virus? Well, when you get, I said, then wait till you get older. Hepatitis B, whatever, for kids, infants. I mean, what are we talking about here? I'm not arguing. You know, you always tell a kid, don't drink yet, don't drive yet, don't handle a gun, don't handle sharp knives. We always tell people in due time. That's my thing, in due time. But let me ask you something. Would you take any kind of vaccine today? Just the word to say, I don't know. I would have to have a lot of people tell me, really convince me. We have this thing all the time where they say, would you like a flu shot? Every time I go into my drugstore, would you like a flu shot? It's like, who are you? Get out of here. Get away from me. I'm so contaminated by this. And I don't know about if you did this, but here in New York, we would open up the windows at 7 p.m. and like barking seals, let's thank our first responders. I'm thinking, what are we doing? What is this? New Year's Eve? This is stupid. People just lost their minds. Trust the science. I got mine. I got my 12th booster. What is them? It made me and even the people who came up with this thought, holy, I don't know if we want to, I don't curse, but holy, I can't believe they're doing this. I don't know about you, but we stood 6 feet apart on these adhesive stickers. We one time, this little store where we lived, they had this plastic shield. And I said, what? I said, can you tell me? And I went around the most ridiculous thing in the world. We even in grocery stores, we couldn't pass. I don't know where you went there, my friend, but anyway, we couldn't pass each other, or we had to actually walk in the same direction down an aisle of a grocery store, because as you know, the COVID virus or whatever only works in one direction. I mean, I don't know where you went there, my friend, but God bless. Oh, there you are.
You know, Lionel, watching you over the years and your animated approach, I had to give you room to move your hands there. So that's why I took myself out of the room.
Oh, you were scratching yourself. You know it, and I know it.
I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I have explained that to people, that when you have to direct yourself, that is the moment that you do get to adjust your glasses.
And when you yell cut, it's really weird. Cut, and you have your way with yourself, because
it is always very interesting when you interview people that understand how things work in front of the camera as well as behind the camera to explain what's going on. How much has the media changed for you?
And by the way, I like your pocket square. Very good. Well, very, very good. Very, very good.
Well, we do have a little bit of class down here in Australia, but we have to pretend that we don't. It's part of the.
I want so bad. I don't want to try. If only I could somehow time transport myself. I don't want to fly like, what is this, 6 days on a flight to get there? But that's one place, because I loved your attitude until your government lost their mind with guns. Not Australia. By the way, quick story. I have a most wonderful friend of mine. He's from, I think he's from Adelaide. And I don't know if that's near you. I have no idea. But he was a great, great guy. And he was the calmest guy. Nothing got him upset. But if you said, throw a shrimp on the barbie, and I can't do an accent, and he would just go crazy. What did you say? What did you say? I said, I was kidding. He said, we don't have that. That's an American expression. That crocodile Dundee. He goes, let me tell you one thing. I've never been to the Outback. I've never seen a kangaroo. No, I did see a kangaroo one time in a zoo in San Diego. He would go crazy because Americans think that you're in the, you're doing walkabouts and the Aboriginal. I mean, but from what I understand, you're a group of people who basically are a bunch of convicts and felons who were thrown up. That's my kind of people. You've got this attitude that I love it. But what did they do to you? They took your freedom away. Dear God.
They did to us what they tried to do to you in the United States, is to make you dependent on a system that you know that you don't want. Because
it's very good. Touche.
Thank you. I mean, here we are in Australia, as you've described, a resilient lot that has to depend on themselves. So self-sufficiency is what we all want to be. It's what the reason we go to school is to become self-sufficient. And then we get told at school.
Yes.
One would think, and then you get told at school that, hang on a second, no, you need to be dependent on the government. So every graduate that comes out of high school, that goes off to college or university, now wants to be part of the establishment, regardless of who they are, and therefore become dependent on a system. And so the thing that taught me, as somebody that was, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter until 2016. And then I became a Trump supporter after 5 months in the wilderness there, trying to work out how we were not going to get Hillary Clinton to become president.
Oh, dear God.
And realize that what I've learned from Trump is A, to be self-sufficient, B, to grow a thick skin, and C, that underestimate that president at your own peril. It seems that everyone wants to underestimate this man no matter what.
You know, first, a couple of things about Trump. By the way, Bernie Sanders, I like Bernie Sanders because he was authentic. See, I have no political party. None. When I was a kid, I don't know about you, I'm 60. Am I 67? How old am I? 67. I'll be 67 this year, I think. Anyway, I was born in 58. By the way, 58 gave us Alec Baldwin, Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson. That was our year. So when I grew up, I thought that the left, you know, Democrats, whatever, were great people, anti-war, freedom, you know, Martin Luther King, civil rights, gay rights. Yeah, live and let live. We were libertarians before we knew what it was. Anti-war. It was a tail end and missed the Vietnam War by that much. That was the left. Republicans were stodgy, constipated country club people. They always talk about taxes and just did nothing for me. You know, Barry Goldwater turns out later on. But anyway, as you know, I didn't change my mind. The facts changed. I didn't. It's not that. It's like, do you ever, when you were a kid, you think, I hate mushrooms. Then you meet somebody who said, well, try this. You go, this is fantastic. What is it? It's mushrooms. You're kidding me. Well, I made them the right way. It wasn't you. It was the time or the dish or whatever it is. So now the stuff that I want that scares the hell out of me didn't exist when it was then. Transgender? I thought, let me ask you this. I don't know if your parents are alive, but mine have gone to the nether world. And if they were to come back and say, what'd I miss? I'd say, well, sit down. You're not going to believe it. By the way, Donald Trump's president. What? Swear to God. And here's this. This woman here is Ketanji Brown Jackson. Or is it Jackson? Anyway, she's the silent Supreme Court justice. Here they are asking her to define a woman, and she can't do it. And they would say to me, is this a joke? No. We don't know what women are. What do you mean you don't know what? It's the damnedest thing. What does a sonographer do? Do you ever say that? It's a boy. I mean, it's something. I don't know what. This is where I'm convinced, Jason, they said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to come up with something crazy, and I'll bet you $1 million they won't go along with it. Okay, ready? I'm going to come say that men are women, and women, we're going to have men beat the crap out of women in sports, and we're going to, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to do it. And it was a joke. And somebody, I don't know, came up with the idea just as a threat or as a dare, and they bought it overnight. Then they're standing on stickers. Then you're not questioning COVID. Then you're not. Then you're, here's our guns. Here's our self-protection. Here we don't need free speech. Oh, it's misinformation. Oh my God! It's like we took a knife and it was like an orchiectomy. We castrated ourselves. We cut our tongue out. We cut our soul out. We cut our brains out. We cut our backbone out. We just took everything, every semblance of an ability to fight back and to stand up. We just disabused ourselves of it, denuded ourselves from this. It's like, ooh, this isn't left. I don't even know what this is. Dear God. So I didn't change. I never changed at all. And then there was Trump. And the first time Trump came along, I said, I voted for me. I wrote my name on the ballot because he's not going to win. And Hillary Clinton's going to steal or forget it. And then all of a sudden, I don't know about you, Jason, but when I was a kid, I loved to do anything that drove my parents crazy. I remember one time when Alice Cooper, they said, what the hell are you listening to? Alice Cooper. That's Alice Cooper. And then there was a group, this is really bad. There was a group called Blood Rock, DOA. It was awful. The Blood Rock. My mother said, that's disgusting. Well, I love it. Thanks a lot. What else don't you like? I love whatever, because I want to be different. Okay. And I never lost that. Here comes Donald Trump. You're not going to vote for that guy. I hate him. That's my guy. Da, da, da. That's my guy. Donald Trump, the best, because he drives people crazy. And he says things that just oftentimes he's maladroit at speaking clearly. He says terrible things. I love him. And you know who love him the most? Foreigners, foreign people. I'm here in New York City, and I know a lot of people from every conceivable. I've got people from countries you can't even pronounce, but they know what fascism is, and they know tough, and they say, I like Trump. Good. You know, it's like, okay, he likes him, because deep down inside, you love him. You love him because, like you said, he doesn't care. He doesn't care what you think. He knows what he wants to do, whether it's tariffs or this or that. I make some mistakes sometimes, but I'll take him over that wizened coot Biden and that logo-lalic, verbally incontinent twit, as we say, not Kamala, as we say in Spanish, que mala. How bad? Que mala is like burnt. I mean, this was a choice. And I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent, whatever that means. So I love this guy. And I love this. And I mean, he does some things I'm not crazy about. I'll take him hands down. There's no other choice. And I hope that we have inspired you and the great people of Australia to kick out these lefty rat bastards, these commie pinkos, and put in somebody who cares about, regular things like law and order and individual dignity and the ability, by the way, Jason, the ability to say anything. Here's my thing, hashtag so what? Hey, did you hear what Jason said? So what? No, he made a racial joke. So what? Don't listen to him. No, he said, so what? It's okay. I don't care what Jason said. Let him say it. Whatever happened to that? Well, we have to stop it. We have to shut him down. He gave the wrong information. I mean, listen, and I put up with stuff. Look, I don't want to get into detail with you, but I hear a lot of people I know say things about their particular religious beliefs. I don't say anything. I say, okay, there you go. I don't sit there and say, that is the most absurd nonsense I've ever heard in my life. I never say that. You're entitled to your opinion. If I don't like it, go somewhere else. Why is that so difficult to understand? And you only take flack when you're over the target. Remember that when you say something and all of a sudden you say, ooh, that must be correct. You're sensitive about that. I must be right then. Because if I was wrong, nobody would care.
Absolutely. This is the whole point, isn't it? That we learn so much about the reaction, and the comment that there is no such thing as misinformation. There can only be truth or lies. It seems that misinformation is a manufactured term used by authority when they don't like what you're saying.
What does that mean? Misinformation, disinformation, data information. What? This is the greatest thing in the world. Let's set up these artificial fact finders called Snopes and PolitiFact, these artificial outboard groups, Wikipedia, that starts with the first word about Wikipedia is do not cite this. This is not a cite. Imagine this, getting a pill that says, don't take this. Hey, this looks good. Don't eat this. Say, well, why am I doing? Just don't. No, it's, and people will say, well, Wikipedia says it. Well, according to Wikipedia. And they're lecturing me on misinformation when the source, now think about this, Jason, the source of their information is a document or a source of fact, if you will, of lore. That's first rule is don't listen to it. That's what you want me. Okay, there you go. But so what do you mean something misinformation? That's what makes things. That's what changed everything. When Newton was all wrong about gravity, Einstein came along and said, I think you're wrong about that. What was that, misinformation? And when quantum mechanics came along and told Einstein, I think you're okay for the big stuff, but not for the little things. Was that misinformation or just wrong, or was it variable? Or they're killing the notion of getting deep into, what's true and what's not. What does wrong mean? I don't even know that's what I want to hear. And who in the hell are you to tell me what's misinformation? The fact that we tolerated that drives me. Remember what Tolstoy said: history would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. And
Yes.
and if you think fake news is bad, how about fake history? Oh my God!
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't even know where to start with that. Especially Americans. I ask people this question: if the United States never entered World War II, could the Russians have beaten Germany? Absolutely. Slower, taking more time, would have been a lot messier, but without a doubt. You say that to an American? What are you guys? Because they have this Saving Private Ryan version of history. We did it. I said that wasn't. We came in at 41. This thing was going on since North Africa and Chinese. Which World War II? Let me give you a quick example. We have this idea that in our country, if you ask somebody, what was the name of the guy who, when they found out the British were coming, he got on a horse and yelled to arms, and he went and he rode and he alerted. Paul Revere. We always say Paul Revere. Paul Revere did that. No, it was a fellow named Israel Bissell. Israel Bissell went from Boston to Philadelphia. Took him 4 days, on horses that died. He kept getting new horses. He went from Boston to Philadelphia. States. Paul Revere went a couple of blocks from Cambridge or whatever, and said, all right, that's it. He saw Sam Adams. But Longfellow wrote this poem about him, and that's where our story came from. Christopher Columbus. Why? Why did he do this? Well, for the spicy, but to see if the earth was round. There were globes and Socrates. What are you talking about? I mean, people, we just make just the most fundamental things that are, to me, axiomatic, and we're getting that wrong? And you expect me to want to explain tariffs? What? Are you kidding
I'm
me?
so glad that you mentioned it, because after
We're
watching
getting around to that.
after you watch Nancy Pelosi come out with two different positions, this is the problem that I keeps coming up over and over again. The left in politics seems to hold two positions on every issue. They can say one thing today and the opposite tomorrow, and people just accept it.
I played on my show. I did. I had a clip of some of the best stuff ever from Chuck Schumer, and the best stuff ever from. They kept saying, "What are you gonna do about China? China?" We're getting a little xenophobic, aren't we? We China. I'm starting to feel sorry for China. I wish somebody would sit down and say, "Hey, she or G, or whatever it is. Listen, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing." And frankly, I would do the same thing. These people in 1949? Was that right? Was it the revolution? They were eating dirt. These people were nothing. These people were squatting and eating with sticks. And I mean, it was the most horrible thing in the world. Look at them now. It's not perfect. And let me tell you something. Xi Jinping, you got to understand him. Didn't he prefer or not mind his father being imprisoned by Mao because he's such a hardline communist? Let me tell you, this guy ain't Gorbachev. See, Gorbachev, there ain't no glasnost and perestroika with this fellow. He is hardcore. And that's it. Understand him. Same thing with Putin. People still think the Soviet Union is in power. They're I don't know about you. Did you have Bullwinkle when you were a kid? Boris
Yes.
and Natasha?
Of course.
I'll get you, little squirrel. Always the Russians, Rocky Drago, I will destroy you. Нет! Khrushchev with the shoe. And these Russians are brilliant. Brilliant. They say, we're making them out to be, I don't know what. And Putin makes the most sense. It's like, you're a Russophile. No. Anyway, but with China, you don't think somebody needs to sit down and say, Xi, I know what you're doing. I don't blame you, but you can't steal our stuff. You can't do this. You know we're going to do this. And Xi, by the way, is it Xi or G or Xi Jinping? Anyway,
Xi, yeah.
G, she, what a he, she.
Yeah.
See, he, she. There we go with that transgender thing.
There it is again.
But he, I think he would say, I kind of respect you. That's the best you can do. Years ago, I was in Israel, which is, despite what you think and all it's one of the greatest places just to visit. You want history? There was a guy I met, and what is the equivalent of their State Department? I don't know what it was. And he said, I think I said something about, President Bush is kind of he's an idiot, because the way he responded to 9/11 is ridiculous, and Iraq, and he goes, you know what they think here? He says, basically we're the same. I mean, we're different, but, salam, we're the same food. But there's this mentality of either the Arabs or the Muslims. He says there's an expression: they'll burn their blanket to kill the fleas. They're just there's stories about Saladin and this and that. And what they said was, when George Bush went in and blew the hell out of it, they said, "Now that's the United States we remember. That's the way to do it." Not, oh my God, they're excessive and it's completely of that. Iraq and Afghanistan had nothing to do. No. So Xi Jinping is looking at us and says, this is the best you can do. And Trump says, oh no, I'm going to show you, you got a special tariff. You got this Chinese, one from column A, one from column B. It's a little joke, but you're going to get it in spades, big time. So, and you earned it. And I think Putin Xi Jinping might say, you know what? That's the Donald Trump we know. That's what we expected. We wouldn't respect you if you didn't do that. And meanwhile, we got these people like Bill Ackman and others. Oh, I think we should find out. Shut up. Who the hell are you? Shut up. Can we work into this? No. We're not going to wait. And I like the reciprocal tariff. You don't like this? 0 out years. Look at the EU. What a crew that is. You see those folks? Oh, I'm sorry. I put my thumb up and I was saying something the other day. I don't know if you saw that. The other day I was saying something terrible about the Holocaust or something. And all of a sudden balloons went up. And I thought, oh my God. I think it's this phone because I use an iPhone for my camera. In any event, did you see the EU crowd who says, I think we're going to meet with him and we're going to work out. Yes, very good. That's exactly what he said. 0 out the tariffs. You got no problem. Why do we have tariffs? Why? I mean, that's like having a toll booth. Why do we do that? We've already paid for this damn road 20 years ago. Why? So just asking a question. So anyway, I know it's going to be tough, but I want to give the man a chance. Hell, it was just this morning. And people are saying, how much longer? It was this morning.
That's the point, is that that's it. I mean, we've just come through 4 years of the Inflation Reduction Act that did nothing but increase inflation. But when Trump does something, it has to be solved momentarily. Exactly right.
Precisely.
So is Trump derangement syndrome therefore something that the mainstream media has crafted to be able to divide the United States?
Crafted and exacerbated and acted as a cofactor, as an enzyme or some type of an accelerant, or the way that alcohol potentiates, like diazepam. If you take Valium and a shot, it's worse because of the alcohol potentiates. Well, the media potentiated the Trump. Believe me, it was already there. I know people who, one in particular, a friend of ours who was so hobbled by a series of, she can barely walk. She went to this rally, this thing that nobody knew what they were there for. They just sort of showed up and said, hands off what? I don't know. Hands off.
Yes.
And she went there And she can never go out. We can't go out. I'm sorry. My hip, my foot. But for this, I'm going to be there. Why? Like Trump. Didn't even mention Trump. I mean, just it's to have that power. And the worst thing you do to Trump is ignore him. He loves it. I mean, let me tell you something. We live, we're here in New York, and on 57th to 5th Avenue, there's a Trump Tower. You can't get in there. You can't, the gift shop, every bit of paraphernalia, every hat, I have the collection of Trump memorabilia itself. They love this guy. It's love or hate. It's like buttermilk. You know, you either love it or you hate it. And I've never known there's been no president who has ever been able to exact or to inspire, Jason, that kind of reaction. I mean, he is just, and here's the best part. Here's this guy, this billionaire who always wears a suit, blue suit, red tie, whatever the tie. The only time you see him is when he's playing golf. He doesn't put on cowboy hats. He doesn't put on flannel shirts. Or if he's going to an actual, hurricane or something. And he says, this is who I am. And yet people love him. Black barbershop folks in the Bronx. The Amish. Do you have the Amish in your country?
Nope.
I don't even know what the hell the Amish are, but they walk around and they're in, with the thing with the hat, and they're living like in the 3rd century. And then the Mennonites, I don't even know who they are, but they're wonderful people. And he won them over. So you got these black hipsters uptown in the Bronx hanging out with the Amish. and then we have gay folks who here in New York, and we know a lot of gay folks. We know one transgender, one. And the gay folks I know say, what the hell is this T thing? LGB. What's this T? You a T? I know they'll say, I'm a gay man, gay woman. And I'm telling you, we have no people. One in particular, he looked, remember Waylon Flowers and Madam? He looks like Madam, but he says, I'm a man. I'm not going to cut anything. And there's never, I've never heard of this. These are from people who were marching during the Stonewall days, who were actually there, the front runners. They're in their 70s, who know what they're talking about. They have no connection to this. They love Trump. Families love Trump. Black folks love Trump. This is the best part. You know who is the most sick of crime? Black folks. And the people who are so conservative, black folks, the black church in this country. I don't know what people think. Maybe they, if you watch YouTube or Instagram, whatever, you get the impression everybody's always fighting. And, it's a great image of the African American, but they love Trump. This is, the left has deluded themselves into believing that they're the popular folks and that CNN or MSDNC and these other places represent them. They don't. They're so delusional. But what's her name got 75 million votes? This nincompoop who can barely speak, who wants to be unhinged from the past or whatever. But I don't even know what she's talking about. We dodged a bullet with that one, my friend Jason. Dodged a bullet.
Well, it's extraordinary. That's where this the concept for this show came from, the 51st state, and that's to do obviously with tariffs, etc. Now, Lionel, what I'd like to do is just take a very quick break to play a commercial from our sponsor. When we come back, I've got some questions on the legal side of things, and I want to ask you a particular question about law, and I'm hoping that we can get the same level of color and understanding that only you can provide. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. You're watching the 51st. Welcome back to the 51st State. There is a message there from our sponsors. If you're looking for something for your self-managed super fund or another investment, please check it out. You'll see the details rolling on the bottom of the screen there. Well, my guest this hour is the one and only Lionel Nation. I'm going to bring him straight back in. Lionel, I hope you enjoy this little moment here with us down under in Australia as we're just trying to scratch our heads and understand. Our confusion in this country is that we have a king who seems to be a globalist, who has a Union Jack but supports the Islamification of his country. And that's to quote Dr. Gavin Ashenden, the former chaplain to Queen Elizabeth, who talks about it in great detail. We're a member of AUKUS, the relationship with the UK, the US, about the submarines that we're meant to send nuclear subs to spy on China, or at least to sit off the coast. And yet our largest trading partner is China. So we have this weird relationship that we're a servant to three masters. And that's what's so confusing. So Australians have got their nose out of joint now because of the 10% tariff, which is quite small, that's been imposed on our exports to the USA. But would you believe that overnight our dollar's dropped 6 or 7%? The price of oil has dropped 20%. The treasurer of the country, heading into a federal election, has told us that interest rates should drop 0.5% next month and at least go down another 3 times before the end of the year. They've been fighting for the last 3 years entirely about the cost of living, like I'm sure they have in the United States. And in one stroke of a pen, inflation has been destroyed. The cost of living will drop immediately. Next time you fill up your car, it'll be down, $25 to fill your car. So everything was achieved. And at the same time, what he managed to do, Trump, was to eliminate globalism in one fell swoop and expose the fact that the United States was the only country that was, the term that we use is to be white-anted or termites, to literally destroy that country, your country, the land of the free, the home of the brave, by literally sucking out all of its dollars and sending them overseas. And I can't understand, again, the concept of why people are so confused. And you've described it beautifully in terms of Trump derangement syndrome. However, if this is the first part of the economic recovery that we're talking about here as a process of tariffs, and most people are saying, well, the jury's out, let things happen. The second part is that we're watching and we're hoping for some form of justice, or new knowledge is probably a better term, because of how you described when you went into talking about vaccines and syringes earlier. But I want to ask the big question. Let's say, for example, you replace Pam Bondi, who puts her hand up and says it's all too hard. You get a message from President Trump that says, Lionel, I'd like you to be the Attorney General. What might you do for the next 3 3/4 years if that was your agenda?
Oh.
How would you deal with this?
I would, well, first of all, the Pam Bondi is wonderful. She's from my hometown. We worked at the same prosecutor's office together. We worked at the same law school. She is absolutely aces. I, however, would be brutal. I would be a lovable. I would put a face of fascism. Like, but he's a good guy. I don't say fascism. Nobody can explain to this day what fascism means. Nobody. Fascisti. Remember Mussolini. Who was Mussolini's best buddy? Will Rogers. They loved Mussolini. They loved him. And the notion of state and corporate blend, it's not what people think. Anyway. The first thing I would do is I would make people, they would be brutal. The amount, when I say brutal, I'm not going to give up due process in the Constitution, but I would make sure that, first of all, if you come here, well, let me give you an example. If I came to your great country, I would say, now tell me, Jason, what's the rules here? Now, how long can I stay? And do I got a green card, a pink card, a yellow card? What do I need to do? Do I have to do anything? Okay, you got to take any shots or okay? Because I don't want any problems, because I'm stupid that way. I follow the rules. I just do. I want to make sure I say it. Don't want to overstep myself. Okay, and I've got to. Okay, got it. I'm not going to walk in and say, let me tell you something, you people, all these. You got to take me. And don't give me this nonsense about I got to comply. And don't you come here. And I've been here for 20 years, so get out of here. My family's here. And I'm an I'm an undocumented migrant. Right here with your undocumented. I mean, so the first thing, you would see these buses and you would see these caravans and you would see them all the time. I would also have this almost like a channel. You can go, you see them constantly with like a ticker tape. How many we left today? How many? And the idea is that this is your sovereignty. This is your country. This is your home. The reason why you got to lock in the doors, you want to make sure to keep the right people in, the right people. I mean, that's it. I would make sure that people who hurt children, there would be a special As you know, my wife with Lynn's Warriors, and by the way, follow her, Lynn's Warriors, on YouTube. But there is the level of predation, the victimization of children is off the charts. There was a story in my native state of Florida today where the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, kind of like the state police, just broke up a ring. And under the rules of YouTube, I can't tell you what it is, but it's the most horrific thing anybody's ever seen. And there are these people out there who are, I don't know who these people are. They are, I'm not going to use the word, it begins with a P. They're not that, because I don't care what somebody finds attractive in their mind. I don't care that's a thought. You know, Jason, you might just fantasize constantly about cannibalism for all I care. I don't care. Just don't do it. We're getting the wrong word. What they are doing to children, how there is an absolute digital minefield through phones, how they're being lured through. Parents would be so hip to what's going on in my country. Let me also say something very quickly. The biggest thing, what could destroy our civilization, literally, this is not an expression, literally, is when AI goes to AGI, it's over. It's over. It's done. When artificial general intelligence takes over and it's out of the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's done. You won't be able to, you can't, it's out there. I have the hardest time explaining this to people. I said, it's not a machine. You can't turn it off. You don't even know where it is. There's no blinking light. It's just out there. And all of a sudden, you know, you might be on a battlefield. You say, all right, ready, aim, fire. And your whole system goes, ooh. Because some AGI version says, you know, my particular type of morality, I find what you're doing done. So I basically, through brute force, ham-fisted attack, I basically shut your thing down. And I like your enemy better because it has its own, it'll have a sensibility. It'll have its own morals, if you want to call it that. People can't understand what I'm saying. They can't grasp. But let me go back to the problem very quickly. This is a facsimile, obviously, this is a pen of President Trump. Now, one day, if I'm able to, by virtue of incredible crafting, I create an infant. It's a doll. It goes, isn't this something? Wow. You know, I don't know if you have these things. We have these things called American Girl, these doll stores. And I mean, they've got dolls. When I was a kid, my sister had a doll with its hair, and it looked nothing like a human being, different today. Okay, multiply that by infinity, and they're going to be these bots and robots or whatever that are going to be able to look at you and have a personality, and I submit a soul. You will not be able to need to be human to have a soul. It will have its own name, its own sensibilities. It will have self-awareness. And one day somebody's going to say, hey, I think you're doing something with this particular doll that we don't like. Excuse me. I can do whatever I want. It's inanimate. Yeah, but we don't like what you're doing. Sorry. And it's a thought now. Now the thought police are going to go. Let me go a step further. What if somebody says, you know, I found out that these people who have terrible pictures and of people doing terrible things, the bad part is it's kind of like a crime scene. You're recording victimization of people. I've got this new thing right now under AI and AGI, or AI in particular. It's so real. It's better than a photograph. And it's worse, but it's not real. It's my imagination. You kid, you're under arrest. You can't sell that. It's not real. It's a thought. You're going to arrest me for drawing something? Well, the law will always lag behind technology. We're not ready for this yet. We don't know what nobody even understands Bitcoin. No, we don't understand this. Thankfully for YouTube, we're talking about particle physics and stuff, but people cannot conceptualize what does it mean? What is a crime going to be? We have a thing in this country called hate crime laws. Hate crime laws are, if I were to victimize somebody or hit somebody or strike somebody because they're black or their gender or whatever it is, they charge me with a hate crime. They take the crime, which is already cognizable at law, and they amp it up a bit. And they say, well, because of your motivation, why you did it, my thought, because it's constitutionally protected for me to hate anybody, we love hate, thought crimes. That's hate speech. No, it's speech. No, it's hate. Hate is in the eye of the beholder. We don't have enough people in my country, Jason, who can sit down and even keep up with what I just said. It's very simple. Where they're not able to abstract. They can't say, this does pose a difference. Let's say you've got a kid. Your kid goes to school. Somebody takes a picture of your daughter and then through some AI program does deep fakes and has her doing a series of terrible contortions or whatever. And you say, hey, you can't do this. Excuse me, what is it? It's fake. Well, what is it? I submit using libel laws and civil laws and defamation. We're not ready for this yet. We're not ready. Today did you hear the story where they but they created this wolf, this dire wolf or whatever it was Rogan talked about it. It's like 10,000 years it's been extinct. They brought it to life. You see a problem with that?
This is the whole Jurassic Park Ian
Yes.
Malcolm story all over again in real life. Now,
It's happening now.
Elon Musk said that he approached Congress towards the beginning of this AI instant revolution that's just popped up over the last couple of years and warned them that there needed to be checks and balances put in place. And he was almost laughed out of the room.
They don't understand it. Right.
They don't understand. So I know when I was watching your show yesterday and you talked about Musk and Soros, and I thought that was a brilliant analysis. And I'm hoping that you might be able to perhaps describe to our audience how you made that comparison of the role that Musk plays, therefore, because many people would instantly listen to what you just said and deem Musk to be the ultimate enemy. But if anything, there's multiple roles here that he's playing.
First of all, I don't trust him. I'll stick with him. I think Soros is a fraud. We found out something very interesting. We had recently there was a finding, if you will, because of DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency or whatever it was. They found that we had an agency called USAID, United States. I don't know what the hell it is, the Agency for International Development or something. I don't know. It was just this. And Samantha Power ran it. You know who Samantha Power is? Her husband is Cass Sunstein. Cass Sunstein was the regulations czar under Obama. He came up with this crazy idea of cognitive infiltration, where he wanted the government to listen to or watch chat groups to shut down conspiracy theories because they had, as he said, quote, a fractured epistemology. And these people are the scariest folks. Anyway, she's running it and that's her husband. Well, when Doge shut it down, they said, you know how much this money's made? You know, we don't even know what the budget is. They're just writing. It's not even, they're just putting zeros in accounts. And then we're finding out they ran everything. And I'll bet you it's going to be the Academy Awards and the Nobel Prize. And I would be I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if one day we find out that Soros basically was kind of a fraud. Like it wasn't his money, it was our money, but he was the front guy. He likes being the kind of like the Klaus Schwab, so to speak, like the evil. But Elon makes stuff. He does stuff. He's not just this kind of pie in the sky guy who comes out and wants to destroy, free will. And he's a different story. I think he's backing off a little bit. Don't be surprised if I think by virtue of he's impetuous, he gets bored. I think he might say, I think I've done enough here in Washington. I want to go. We're not seeing him anymore. We're not seeing him with his kid. And it was so weird. But he changed everything because he made being rich cool and philanthropic. When he sat in one room and he had a room full of billionaires, guy from Airbnb and this one and that one and then Peter Thiel and Silicon Valley, they had the top 10% of it. They're just sitting in this room. And all of them wanted to do this because they were saying, we want to to invest our particular mental firepower to make our country better. And then there's Soros. He's a parasite. He's a leech. I don't even know when he wants to short the pound, and he was the one who funded all of these district attorneys, these prosecutors who were radical left. So Elon just basically said, I'm going to eat you for lunch. And there's a whole bunch of people. It's almost like a Peace Corps. And who are these people? Who are they? Republicans. The right. Everything shifted. The left are a bunch of hapless, impuissant, atesticular, invertebrate nothing. They're anodyne zeros. They don't stand for anything. They have no worldview. So that's the Soros part. Elon Musk changed everything. I mean, there is a momentum here that you just can't. He made it cool again. He made government service cool. And I hate to use that word, but to make it inviting. And by the way, one more thing. When this president dodged that bullet, that expression, I mean, his ear, you know what that sounds like? To have people, combat. Don't you think Trump, no PTSD though, because he's playing golf the next day. There are some people who have, survivor's guilt, and I'm not trying to mock anything. This guy's not human. He's not human. I mean, this is the wildest show. And the thing is that if you keep listening to this leftist media, you'll swear it's all collapsing. Well, it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the big stories that's just broken today is that President Trump has said that they're going to start talks with Iran over the nuclear program starting this weekend.
Good.
Were you one of the people that felt like that there could be a nuclear war, or is that just simply the end of humanity and it could never happen? How do you sort of feel about this whole nuclear proliferation?
Did you ever see Nancy? Who is it? Not Nancy Jacobs. Nancy. What is her name? She did this wonderful piece. Nancy. Might be Jacobson. Well, about nuclear. Oh yeah, because if something goes wrong, it's automatically tripwired and that sort of thing. Look, let me ask you something. Do you have a beef with Iran? I don't.
Nope.
I don't have a beef with anybody. What do I have to do? I don't. And we make them sound, I don't know about you, but here they're theocratic. They walk around with these funny hats on. And I remember here in New York, because I'm very lucky, it's international. And a friend of mine, he goes, he says, I'm not Arabic, I'm Persian. He said, how many generations can you take can you go with your family? Can you go 10? I said, 10?
Yeah.
But, we have this thing like 1, 2, 3 and me, which is the most stupid thing in the world. Don't ever give up your genotype or your phenotype, whatever, to anybody. But he said, in my family, we can go back 10 generations. I know my family tree. These are the proudest people. We're Persians. I mean, we're 200 and whatever. And we make them out to be like they're just some kind of like these. I don't know what they just want to kill, and I'm sure they have some people, but that's a different mindset. I don't have a beef with Iran. I don't have a beef with Russia. I don't have a beef with anybody. It's none of my business. Same thing with Putin, and you know what that's about. Putin said, you are not going to have a NATO country on my border. That's it. That's it. Who can blame him? In 1962, we almost went to war with Russia because they wanted to put missiles in Cuba, 90 miles away. So anyway, I think it's good. Sit down with these people. Sit down and talk. That's all. And explain, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. But let's stop this. How can we help? That's it. Because if there's ever going to be Armageddon, that's where it's going to be. Not in Australia, not in Perth or Sydney or whatever. It's going to be over there. Watch.
Looking forward, therefore, over the next 3 years, are you confident that what comes out at the end of this term in office for President Trump, that the world has been transformed to perhaps the reason, or at least the target of what he intended to do when he first decided to walk down that escalator in 2016?
But the potential is there. if it's going to happen, it's going to be a lot easier. But there are other people who are just fighting. We call it the deep state. It's like a shadow government. There are people who just want to use, who want to see no such progress. They look at America as a piggy bank, as something that they can pilfer and steal and change and exploit. The last thing in the world they ever want is to see any type of correction. But put it this way: if it is possible, it'll never be. Going back to this, I wonder if JD Vance will pick up the gauntlet, if he'll do it. I don't know, but see, Trump's got to tell people, I'm a lame duck. I don't have another chance. I don't have to run again. I do whatever I want. Whatever I do now is because I think it's a good idea. And I don't have to run again or do anything again. I don't have to do anything I don't want to. And he's doing it. It's only been 75 days, about 5% of his entire new term. 75 days, he just got in office. It was January the 20th. He was inaugurated January the 20th. He seemed like he's been there for a year. And the energy of this guy. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go fly. I'm going to Mar-a-Lago. I'm going to play golf. I'm going to meet with BB. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. Biden was at his beach. He wasn't vacationing. I think he was in a coma probably more than anybody. And by the way, when you saw those Nancy Pelosi clips, isn't it something how much they've aged? She was very sharp. She was very quick. It's what youth was. And now you see him now, it's like, oh my God, she's always chewing those dentures of hers or whatever. She always looks like she's passing a painful Bezor, like she's in the middle of some dyspeptic, horrible. But we got to have term limits.
Yes.
I mean, some people can handle, Warren Buffett is very good. He's very old, but Warren Buffett is very wise. Then there's Joe Biden, who walks around yelling, who ordered the veal cutlet? He doesn't know where he is. And people said, he's fine. Sharp as a tack. What? Sharp as a tack. So, what a time we live, my friend.
Well, it's the slogan that I used to say all the time, that what a time to be alive. And it is absolutely extraordinary that we were born for this moment. I do worry about my children, and I wonder, what will become of them in this world. But we're blessed here, and at least in Australia, that we have enough freedom that if you can be self-sufficient, you are. So I chose to homeschool my children from the post-COVID era. And I do think that has definitely changed, because you set your own agenda, you escape the system. But this is the point, isn't it? But it comes down to, I think we've all forgotten what it is that we wanted to get out of life. I often report that here in Australia, it's been such a downer for so long that I ask people, when was the last great thing we did in this country that we all got behind, that didn't divide us? And we go all the way back to the Sydney Olympics in the year 2000, Lionel. I think that's a devastating reflection upon what we used to deem the lucky country. Can you think in the United States of a moment where 100% of the people got excited about the same thing?
No. That's a great. I'm going to think about that. Where everybody was no. Well, I will say this. And because I love it, 1969 landing on the moon. Now I know a lot of folks who are, I love to bring it up, and I love to say, if we did land on the moon. Now, I don't know anything about landing on the moon. I don't know there's a lot of great stuff. I like to listen to it. I'm not much of an expert. Some people swear we never did. Some people thought Paul McCartney was killed, and this guy's whatever. But I think it was that, once that where everybody said, hey, way to go, way to go. Sad to say also in 2001, 9/11, everybody was on board. Don't forget, they left, they had a candlelight vigil for us in Tehran. Putin called up Bush and said, what can I do? In fact, he knew about the Caucasus. He says, I know about, it was a time people helped us. They really felt for us. We squandered that real fast, but that was about it. By the way, did you know that when it comes to Afghanistan, why did we go to Afghanistan? Why was that? Did you know that Afghanistan happens to be the Saudi Arabia of lithium? Lithium, rare earth metals. Oh my God. Gold and cobalt. And So we kind of keep an eye on some opium or poppy fields. But it just so happens, the great Gerald Celente one time said, what would have been the chances of our invading Iraq if their main export was broccoli? And it's true. So I think the moon and maybe 9/11, sad to say, people were really here in New York. Everybody was on board. Oh my God, everybody had flags, and oh God, we were proud. And after 9/11, they stopped honking horn. There's no horn honking. People were polite. Oh, after you. I mean, it was really something. Wow, we got over that fast. But that was about it. I think we're probably more together as a people than people think. I don't think we're really that. I don't know about the way people make it sound like we're racist and people get along fine. Nobody cares. The thing about America is that we're the United States of amnesia, like Gore Vidal said, and we have the attention span of a gnat, and we don't care. We're too lazy to be racist. We really don't care. We're busy. We're fat. Well, doing our thing. So, and it's a good place. It's a good country, and it is so. For those who've never been here, it is so different from the South or the East. I can take. Oh my! There's 3 states that are completely on their own, and it's West Virginia, West by God Virginia, Louisiana, and Texas. They're another planet. It's like they can live all by themselves. By the way, quick Louisiana joke. I mean, West Virginia joke. They said, how can you tell that the inventor of the toothbrush is from West Virginia? Anybody else would call it a teeth brush. So a friend of mine told me one time he was at a gas station, a petrol state, whatever, a gas station in West Virginia somewhere, and he walked in, and in the counter they had cigarettes and chewing gum, whatever, and brass knuckles. I mean, that's West Virginia. Really, it's not even just Virginia and West Virginia. They didn't even give it a name, but they're very independent. Louisiana, New Orleans, a Napoleonic code. They don't have counties, they have parishes completely. And Texas, Texas is like a mini Australia, so to speak. It takes forever. But they're the Lone Star State because they're always into threatening to secede theoretically. But with that, it's the people, the accents. I'm sure you can tell Sydney from Perth, from Adelaide.
Yes.
I have a hard time figuring out a Kiwi or a New Zealand. I don't know that yet. But here, I can tell you gradations of Southern. I can tell you where they are. I wait for one word. Our country gave the world music, blues. Blues, jazz, from Jelly Roll Morton to Errol Garner to Duke Ellington and everything that the Beatles took was ours. Country music, bluegrass, our music. I mean, that is the one thing I'm the proudest of. Everything else, nothing. But our music.
Well, here in Australia, we will use terms such as fair enough, which describes exactly how you've just explained there. I would therefore ask you, and we'll guess we can make this our final question. Do you think that you'd have any objection if Australia put its hand up and asked to become the 51st state?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you something. Anybody, speaking of which, anybody that gave us the Little River Band and Glenn Sharrock and B. Birtles and who was it? And Birtles. God, it's late for me, but I would love it. I love your attitude. I love that attitude. I love anything that even remotely hints of not panache or posh, but somebody who thinks they're posh. I have nothing to do with them. Nothing. You are not posh. You enjoy your, I don't know what's the word? Your not concupiscence, but your ribaldry, but you go against the grain. You're just, I love that. you are a bunch of felons and inbreds and homozygous or whatever. I don't care. That's fine. We're a bunch of people who basically said, all right, it's enough with it. We're rebels. We're turncoats. We're traitors. We knocked the crap out of the British, which is always good, by basically saying, why are they lining up with redcoats and we're hiding behind trees? And we won. Anyway, and of course the king was crazy. And so, but I love and we're so full of garbage. I've got somewhere here my Constitution, but we always love to talk about how great we are. Our Constitution, by the way, started us off, had the fugitive slave clause, which says if my slave runs away and you get it, you got to bring him back. This is all men are created equal. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
We had slavery in there right off the bat. We have the beginning of this thing that says in order to form a more perfect union. People have said that more perfect. Anyway, even the language, we have a Second Amendment we don't understand is about guns. In order for a more perfect union, it's weird. The right of the, we're so crazy. We have a Bill of Rights that doesn't mention the number of judges, the Air Force, voting, marriage, nothing. We have this thing about, does the Constitution provide a right to abortion? No. Does it give a guarantee for gay sex? No. Sodomy? No. Regular sex? No. Does it mention it at all? Does it? It's people think our Constitution, this is my neck of the woods, we're like really screwed up. We're in this, but we have this really unique system, separation of powers. Articles 1, 2, and 3. Legislative, the executive, the president, and the courts. And each one can overrule the other. Each one, it's fantastic. It really works. And we have an actual constitution, not parchment rights, but actual enforceable rights. I think, is it Russia or China? They have a much better constitution. They never enforce it, or at least they didn't. Ours gets enforced. It's legit. Now, what it means, I have no idea. First Amendment, who's First Amendment? So I know that's in no way even remotely close to your question. I would be honored to have you as our 51st state, not Canada, mind you. By the way, you know the old joke about Canada. How do you get 100 Canadians out of a pool? By asking them to get out of the pool. If you walk into a room with 100 people, how can you tell a Canadian? Step on everybody's first foot. The first one to apologize, that's a Canadian. Anyway,
I love it.
We always make them out to be, they're wonderful people. Great music. Guess who? And you go on and on and on. But they're I think, a good people. I think they're always made out to be milquetoast and, with their hockey and their poutine. I think they're great. I mean, I really do. And let me just leave you with this. Deep down inside, no matter where you go, it can go to from the Aboriginal place to Paris and this and that. Everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. Language is different, but deep down inside, we laugh. We have families. We have a sense of humor. We all want the same thing. We might seem different, but we have mothers and grandmothers and friends. We just, this is sound so platitudinous and so, honeysuckle, blah, pablum, but it's true. I just want to get along with people because frankly, like a true American, I don't care. I don't care what you do. Knock yourself out.
And this is the point all along. Live and let live. And it's the way you described our imperfections is, or I like to say, use your weakness as your strength. It's in our imperfection that
Indeed.
where our perfection lies, where
Absolutely.
our strength lies. And you've done something today to be able to describe to our audience, and hopefully this audience permeates across the Pacific and around the world, to be able to understand that we are all the same, whether we don't look the same, sound the same, etc. We all want the same things, whether it's our family, ourselves, and each other. But it seems that we're meant to be divided by a system that wants us divided. And the moment that we realize that that is the enemy, that the revolution is over and the human beings win, and we can dispose of whoever it is that's been putting the thumb down over us and holding us back for so long.
Here, my good friend. Here.
Thank you so much, Lionel Nation. It's full circle in a 5 or a 6 year period to be able to watch you and to be inspired, to be on the other side of the camera and to have this delightful conversation on
I
behalf of
loved
the
it.
51st state.
I'm so. Thank you so very much, Jason. It was a pleasure to be. And I always end this. I always tell people this. I said, you know what? I would rather be with you and your audience than the finest people in the world. And I mean that sincerely. That's a great line from a movie, Roxanne. And nobody listens. Nobody catches it. I'd rather be with you than the finest people in the world. And people always, it's fantastic. And I always say, Jason, thank you, not for what you are, but for what you appear to be. And I mean that. And they go, thank you very much. And nobody listens to me because I think you get to a certain age and they look at it, oh, this is profound. No, listen. I've known a lot of people, Jason, and you're one of them. And Jason, when they read the names of the great podcasters and YouTubers of all time, you're going to be out there listening. And I mean that. Again, it sounds horrible.
It's absolutely perfect. Well, you can find Lionel Nation at Lionel Nation on YouTube and, of course, on X. Please check out. And Lionel, is there a website that you are operating at the moment?
LionelMedia.com.
Perfect. Well, there it is.
Pretty much the same. Lionel Media, Lionel. But thank you. Thank you, Jason. It was indeed a pleasure, sir. All the best.
Likewise. Thank you very much. We will conclude our show at this point, and I encourage you to check out anr.news. Also on my Twitter there, Jason Q Citizen 1 is the place to look, and you'll be able to check out the Daily Australian Radio Show each day, Monday to Friday, with Nicola Charles and myself. But look out for our great presenters here. And if you've noticed on the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there is a media conference awards ceremony being organised by our team at ANR News coming up in July on the Gold Coast. And there'll be more information there. And of course, if you're interested in any of the properties, you'll see that information and you can reach out on the websites that are available. Don't forget to look out for Lily Gaddis, Aussie Cossack, Dave O'Neiggs, and Jamie McIntyre along with my shows. I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much for watching, Lionel Nation. Thank you again. And all the very best for everything that's happening in the United States, onwards and upwards for all of us.